Namaste, Jai Bharat. Have you thought of an interesting situation where one wants to believe in God but can't believe in God? I repeat, one wants to believe in something like a God, but then one cannot believe in something like a God. Now, how does it happen? See, man, as he grows up, his rationality, his logic, and his peripheral understanding of science, etc., wouldn't really let him simply believe in a concept of God. So he is unable to believe. But there are some inner compulsions which makes him, or which forces him rather to believe in God. Now, let me explain these inner compulsions. These inner compulsions to accept something beyond may be understood to be an inner, a transcendental longing towards something which is beyond, which is, technically in the modern philosophy they call it as a fundamental intentionality. That's a fundamental intentionality within towards something beyond. Some people will define it as towards a sacred, but let me not term it as a sacred, but something beyond. So that's one side compulsion where one wants to believe. But on the other hand, the available cognitive scientific tempo doesn't let him do it. Now, how would you deal with these situations, or such situations? You see, the 19th century Europe was literally suffering from something maybe called as euphoria of a science, a scientific euphoria. Because at that time, after the papacy, if you see the historical context, after the papacy, the supremacy of religion has somewhat ended. Science really slowly takes off. Then, as the what normally happens to Europe on a routine, from one extreme they swing to the other extreme. That happened in 19th century. There was no middle path available to them. After that long time, roughly 2000 years of this religiosity or religiousness in European history, then suddenly there takes place a paradigm shift from religion to science, and then everything which is sensible, or which people recognize as sensible or meaningful, is supposed to be scientific. You see, you look in Marx, the theory of Marx. He would make everything. He makes a distinction between something utopian and something scientific at many places. Then at that time, 19th century, most of the scientists were atheists by default. How they remained atheists is another interesting thing, but they were mostly atheists, and it was rather natural for a scientist to be atheist at that time, because their God concept was, whatever was presented to them was not acceptable given the science and logic, whatever. So the situation is that his inner compulsion wants him to believe in God, and the outer compulsion doesn't permit him to believe in God. That is the case when one wants to believe in God but can't believe in God. Now, how would you look at this in a different angle? One wants to believe in a God but can't believe in a God because the God concept available to him is irrational. The God concept available to him through religions, especially the Semitic religions, are not very rational. Subsequently, they could rationalize it. After Augustine and could rationalize it. They tried, but really it's not irrational when you go deeper into it. For a matter of faith, everything is all right. And if you stop short at the point of matter of faith, then there is no harm. You have no problem. You will not have this contradiction within you of wanting to believe and unable to believe. That won't be there. But beyond a point, this contradiction can take place because The available concept of God to you is presented through a dressed religion. Dressed religion means an established religion, and it always comes to you through an individual who is a pastor or priest or whatever it is. Who is a priest? Who thinks that he is a priest, and you also think, society also calls him as a priest. This kind of things come to you. You don't have an individual effort to look at the concept of God and the all related connotations and to understand and go up to it. Now, to look at the situation, let me take the help of the Frankfurt School of Critical Thinking. I don't want to go into details of the Frankfurt School and critical thinking. I simply wanted to borrow the spirit you may find in the Frankfurt School of Critical Thinking, who would like to critically understand whatever phenomenon made available to them. Whatever is a phenomenon. This can't be extended to religion in that context. This can't be extended. In fact, this critical thinking cannot be extended to any religion, as you understand. Now, I have an alternative from the Bharatiya knowledge tradition, and that's the only alternative to this, which allows critical thinking. See, generally, we say there are 6 schools of thinking in Bharatiya Darshana. Darshana is not philosophy. There's a difference between Darshana and philosophy. I've always told you before also. So, there's a school called as Mimamsa schools. Mimamsa, Purva Mimamsa, and Uttara Mimamsa, there. This is a school known as Mimamsa school. And the Mimamsa school is nothing other than critical thinking. It's actually more than the Frankfurt school. The Mimamsakas are much more than Hawkimir, I don't know, Habermas, whoever it is, in the critical thinking. Much more. Much systematic, much logical, much sensible, and much meaningful. Shankaracharya is one in the Uttara Mimamsa. Badarana is there. Prabhakara, Kumarila, they're all there in the Mimamsa school. The Mimamsa school simply tells you don't accept if you are not convinced. Just because something is written in a text, just because somebody tells you there's a God like this in this appearance, if it is not convincing, don't accept. So, those who are suffering from this dichotomy, wanting to believe in God but can't believe in God, I advise them to go and take research to the Mimamsa philosophy and then broadly go into the Vedas. They are not religious texts, they are knowledge texts. And then if you go deeper, you don't find a concept of God. In any of the Bharatiya dharmas, I call it as dharma instead of religion. Then you can escape from this dichotomy of wanting to believe in God and then unable to believe in God. You can escape from this dichotomy if you go into Bharatiya Darshanas. Then in Bharatiya Darshana, after a level, you find the Lokayata, that is materialism in English. Charvaka is not very different from the Advaitin Shankaracharya. On a deeper analysis, you will know that. On a deeper analysis, of course, I am not telling anything more. But those who are suffering from this dichotomy, wanting to believe in God and unable to believe in God, may take resort to the darshanas of Bharat, then especially the Mimamsa, and then of course you will be able to decide whether to believe or not to believe. Though nobody will tell you to believe, and nobody will also tell you not to believe. You will get a choice and you may be able to make a decision. Some small piece of advice. We'll meet again. Till then, Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Shri Ram.